Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kisha. Just in case you're new here, I make YouTube videos and blog every day, and if you want to check out my blog, the link is below. It's just kjaggers.com. So we are doing like a test recipe today, and we're going to do it together. I've never made this before. It's kind of more vlog style because you can see me here holding the camera, but I'm going to set it up on the tripod. We'll make it together. I'm going to take you through everything. But it's a recipe that a YouTube friend suggested. She had it before and loved it, so this is really for Lori. And I'm going to walk you through quite a bit of the process in a different kind of way than what I normally do. So just keep watching, and I will show you how to make Julia Childs Tarragon chicken. So let's get started. So first of all, this is a recipe I have never made. Julia's book is big, and this is the one we're making. Now, she couldn't remember the name, but it's the only one that I could find that had like tarragon as the main seasoning, and that's what she suggested from, trying it before. So one thing I do want to say about Julia's cookbook is it's written out in a very easy way to understand. The ingredients here go with this paragraph. The ingredients here with this, and so on. So we're going to go through it step by step, and you're not going to see every ingredient up front. We're going to do it in the steps provided in this book. I got some of my own notes too. So what you're going to need though, the major thing you're going to need is a whole chicken. This is a Harvest Farms organic chicken, and it's beautiful. Mine's about 4.5 pounds. The recipe calls for a 3-pound chicken, but we like a little bit bigger, but it's still young, looks beautiful. And I've just, taken it out of the packaging. I have rinsed it off and patted it dry. It's on a plastic cutting board, because I don't want the bacteria from the chicken on my wood cutting board. So that's something you're going to need. It's a Julia Child recipe. The first 4 steps calls for 4 tablespoons of butter. So these are 2 tablespoons apiece and some extra butter, which we will be using. Some twine to truss up the chicken. My knife, of course. About a half a cup of carrots that I just kind of chunked up. And the same with an onion. It's just, I just used like a medium-sized onion, chunked it up. You're going to need some kind of roasting pan. This is one of my favorite ones, so that's what I'm going to be using today. And you're going to need either dried or fresh tarragon. I don't have fresh in my herb window. If I find it, I might grow some, but I just got dried, and salt and pepper for the first few steps. So let's get set up and start getting this chicken ready to go in the oven. Okay, so here's our chicken. Again, I've rinsed it off. I took the neck and stuff out, and we're going to start working on the inside. So that's the first thing we need to do. I've also got some paper towels, which you might want to have on hand because you are working with raw chicken. So I have salt and pepper in this bowl, and I just have some kosher salt and some peppercorns, but you can use salt or pepper, but my main salt and pepper are ones that you have to grind, and that would be really hard to get it in the cavity. So I just have some peppercorns and some kosher salt. We're going to season the inside. I'm just going to put it in there and just kind of move it around. I'm going to wash my hands real quick so I can get into that tarragon, but we're going to go ahead and move right into the tarragon next. So we're going to use about a teaspoon of dried tarragon. It calls for a half a teaspoon, but I have a bigger bird, so I'm adding a little bit more, and I think that's something you can determine on your own. Look at that beautiful tarragon. I'm just kind of rubbing it together to release some of the oils, and then straight into the bird. Fresh tarragon would be so much better, but I don't have any. So now we're going to truss up the chicken, or we're going to add our butter, I'm sorry. And then we're going to truss up our chicken. So straight in it goes. So now you're supposed to truss the chicken, and that means sewing it with a big needle and tying the legs. I'm not going to sew it. Everybody can do that if they want. I'm just going to kind of tie the legs and the bottom together. I usually don't truss my chickens anymore. I just don't find it completely necessary. But the recipe calls for it, so I'm going to tie them up, but not technically in a trussing way. Remember, chicken has a lot of bacteria on it, so be sure to wash your hands really good after dealing with it, and keep it on a plastic board so it doesn't contaminate like your wooden board. You can wash the plastic in really hot water, including the dishwasher, and get all that bacteria off. So there is my bird tied up. It's just pretty much sealing up the inside the best you can, so the aroma and flavors really infuse the bird. So now I'm going to wash my hands, just 1 minute. Okay, so now I'm going to dry the bird off the best I can. I'm going to take the rest of my butter. I'm going to use about 1 tablespoon. You want it kind of soft. Try not to tear the chicken. Butter that bird all up. And then set it aside. And we're going to go start working in the casserole on the stove. Okay, so he is ready. I'm going to go wash up first though. So now it calls for you putting the casserole on the stove over medium heat, medium high. I got it on 7 with 2 tablespoons of butter and about 1 tablespoon of oil. And keep the oil close because you might need more. I'm just using olive oil. You're going to get that nice and hot. Okay, so once the butter and oil have really gotten hot, and the butter starts to like subside a little bit, you're going to want to put your chicken in. We are going to brown the whole chicken before it goes into the oven. So you're going to have to turn it. It suggests using wooden spoons to turn it, to brown it all around. And that's probably what I do. I've done it many times, but I normally don't brown my chicken on the stove. But you definitely want the butter to remain very hot without burning, and you have to regulate the heat. So I started out at a little bit more hot, especially on my electric stove, which I'm not so fond of, and then you're going to put it breast side down, and you're going to leave it there for 2 or 3 minutes. Now if you have a non-stick pan, that might work better for you. If you have a pan like this, make sure that if it doesn't move, then it's not quite ready. So I'm going to turn it on down to like 7, and I'm going to put my chicken in. Be careful not to get burned. Breast side down, straight in. Okay, so I have 2 wooden items. This is like a portage thing my mom got me from, where'd she go? I don't remember. Ireland, I think. And a wooden spoon, and I'm just going to flip my bird over easily and brown it on the other side. Look at that. That's beautiful. Then I'm going to turn it on the side to brown those too. This whole process should take somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes, and just allow the bird to get a nice golden color all over. So remember to keep turning and watch your heat. Also, you need to be preheating your oven to 375 degrees. Now some of my skin broke. That's just the way it goes. It's not perfect. Some of it was tore before I ever put the chicken in. But I'm not too worried about that. Just do the best you can. Again, we are testing this recipe. It's on its side right now, browning. And then I'm going to turn it over because I really want the breast and legs, according to the recipe, to be very, very brown. So back over it goes. Do your best to maneuver it. Keep your face back too in case the oil splatters. Okay, breast side down. We're going to leave it alone for a few more minutes. So you can see it's brown, so I'm going to take it out. I'm going to turn the heat off. Sorry about my arm. I'm going to put it on its platter. So I'm ready for it again. And now, it says if this oil is burnt to discard it. Well, mine is not. I just wanted to take it off the heat for a minute so it doesn't burn. But I'm going to add another spat of butter to it. Just a small one. Straight in it goes. And now, you're going to take your carrots and your onion and put them straight in. Okay, so we don't really want these very brown. So I've got the heat off right now. It says to cook these for 5 minutes and then add 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of tarragon. So I'm going to add that. Mix it up. Give it the 5 minutes and scrape the bottom with all those wonderful flavors from the chicken. See, mine's still cooking and it was on, it's off. So you don't always have to have it on, but you need to have it on low. You really don't want them that brown. You just want to soften them. So about 5 minutes. And then we're going to put our chicken right back in. Okay, so I'm going to put the chicken right back in. And then the directions are to salt it, so I'm just using some kosher salt. And it also says to baste it with the butter. So let me get my baster. Just baste it the best you can with some of that delicious butter. You won't get a lot up in the baster at one time just because there's not a ton of butter in to begin with. And here is the odd part. So you're going to take some aluminum foil and cover up that chicken. And remember, this needs to be a pan that can have the lid. Just like that. And then, put your lid on. Bring it up for a minute so you can really hear that chicken sizzling. So I'm going to turn it on about 7. And we're going to place it in the 350-degree oven for about 1 hour and 40 minutes. That's for mine. But I'll put a chart in where you can see how long it would take depending on what size chicken you buy. So I can hear it right now sizzling away. It's going straight into the oven, and we will baste it periodically, and then we'll make the sauce that goes with it. Can you hear it? So I know it might be hard for you guys to hear, but there still is a little bit of a sizzle sound. I'm just checking on it. I'll baste it here in just a little bit, but if it doesn't have that sizzle sound, start turning up your oven by about 5 degrees until you can hear it like sizzling inside of the pot. So it's been cooking for a long while. I'm going to baste it. So let's check it out together. There it is. And I am just going to use a brush and baste the outside of the chicken. Okay, so it's finally done. Let's see what it looks like. Now I'm going to leave it tended just for a few minutes before we make the sauce because I have some potatoes on. Looks delicious. Look at that. Yum. So I'm going to leave it tented, and then I will make the sauce in just a few minutes whenever the potatoes get done. So to make the sauce, you're going to need at least 2 cups of chicken stock. And if you don't have chicken stock, this is homemade, you can definitely substitute it for 1 can of beef bouillon. I couldn't find that, so I got this. And 1 cup of chicken broth. And if you can't find beef bouillon or beef consomme, you could definitely just use all chicken broth. You're going to need 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, and the recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of Madiera or port. I'm not using that. I'm using 2 tablespoons of water, and then some tarragon, parsley, and of course a little bit more butter, and it needs to be softened, so room temperature butter. So I know the lighting's changed because it's getting dark and we're having a late dinner. We're on the summer schedule. And I removed the chicken to the platter. I put the carrots and onions on each side of it. I'm not sure because in the recipe it doesn't say to discard the carrots, but the carrots are delicious. I also got the onions out. I'm going to tin it for a few more minutes while I finish up the sauce. And then I will plate it up and give it a taste. So I have the casserole that I cooked the chicken in and the juices in it. So we're going to go ahead and get started on making the sauce. And I do have some onions in the sauce, but I'm just going to leave those. I got most of them out. If you can hear my potatoes boiling, they're cooking away. And I'm going to make our delicious sauce. So let's get going. Okay, for the sauce, I have a teaspoon of fresh parsley. I have a teaspoon of the dried tarragon. I have the cornstarch mixture, except instead of blending mine with Madiera or port, I just did with water, completely fine. And I have some softened butter to finish the sauce off, which is very French. And you really do want softened butter so it melts basically right into the sauce. You don't want it to have to come from a really cold point all the way to melting. You just want it to automatically melt. And I'm going to get ready and plate this up. Dinner's almost done. So I'm just adding 2 cups of my chicken stock. But remember what I said about using the beef consomme and the chicken broth, if that's what you have. So you just want to bring it to a soft boil. Scrape all that delicious flavor that you have in the pan from the chicken. Just scrape it and get it in that sauce. And then if you see a lot of fat on top, you want to skim some of that off, but I don't really see that. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my cornstarch mixture. In it goes. Mix it up, bring it to a boil. That's when it will get to its thickest state. I'm going to change the color just a little bit too. So it's come to a boil. It's as thick as it's going to get, and you definitely need to taste it. See if it needs a little more salt, some tarragon, whatever you think. And as it comes down from the boil, you want to add the herbs I just showed you, the fresh parsley and dried tarragon. Stir those in. And then you want to stir in about a tablespoon of butter, but I might have to add just a little bit more than that. So I drop the butter in, and it's almost going to give like a shiny finish to the sauce. really does turn a good sauce into a great sauce. That's for sure. So make sure you add that butter. It's very important to the taste. Alright, it's time to serve up dinner. So here is the finished dinner. Now, normally, since I'm testing a recipe, I would taste it in front of you guys. I'm tired. I look awful. But I can tell you, I've already tasted the chicken and the sauce. It's amazing. The carrots are really good. Some points I would make is you could definitely skip browning it. At least I think you could. And just roast a chicken with tarragon inside and on the outside of the cavity, and not have to really brown it on the stove. But that sauce is to die for. The chicken is amazing. It's very juicy and very, very good. The carrots, just as equally as amazing. So I know the recipe calls for half a cup, and I don't think she intends on it being served with the chicken as a side, because she says, I think says grilled tomatoes and roasted potatoes, but we didn't do that. We are going to eat those carrots because they are delicious. I actually recommend putting a lot more than half a cup in and making a bunch just to serve with it, because it was really good. I'm serving it up with parsley, smashed potatoes, and that is our dinner, friends. I hope you've enjoyed this video watching how to make this chicken. It's utterly delicious. The sauce is amazing, and I hope you guys try it. You can find the recipe in the down bar. You can also find it on my blog at kjaggers.com. For Scott's, I just added a drumstick and a chicken breast, and it's very easy to make. It's not near as hard as what you'd think, and I bet anybody that tried this would love it. It's really good. The tarragon is slightly sweet and just delicious. So thank you so much, Lori, for suggesting this. We really enjoyed it. If you have any questions at all, please leave those in the comments below, and I will talk to you guys really soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.